So Zack's role in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is going to be very, very different than what his role was in OG. Before we jump into the video, there's going to be heavy spoilers for Final Fantasy VII Remake and possibly Rebirth. So if you're not wanting any spoilers, why are you here? Get out. So Zack's role in Rebirth, Remake, and this new re-trilogy is very, very different than what it was in the OG game. In the OG game, we got Zack as more of a flashback, and it explains who Cloud was, and it kind of sets up Cloud's character towards the end of the game. This time, he has survived the Crisis Core ending. He's officially made his way to Midgar, made his way to the church, seemingly has met up with Elmira, has spoken with Marlene about Aerith's possible demise. Like, there's so much going on with Cloud, or with Zack. So my question is, will Zack have a party in his little chapter in Rebirth, or will he be a solo dolo like he was in Crisis Core? I've 2 points here I want to go over in this video, and maybe talk about who his party could be if he has a party, and obviously who his party is going to be if he doesn't have a party. It's going to be him. But there's a little bit of things I want to go over based on his story and where I think it could be going and stuff like that. But let me know your thoughts on Zack and everything down below in the comments. I'm interested to hear what you guys think, how he's going to play out in this time around. And to stay up to date on all my videos and theories and guides and all that stuff on Rebirth and Remake and Final Fantasy in general, Square Enix in general, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel, because I'll be covering loads of Rebirth content and occasional Final Fantasy 14 stuff as well going forward. And only 1% of you guys are subscribed so far, so let's pump those numbers up a little bit. Greatly appreciate it. So there's two options for Zack's party in Rebirth. So it's already been pretty much confirmed by Katase that we'll get to play Zack in Rebirth, but now the question is he going to be a solo character, or is he going to be a party character, or will he have a party with him? And if so, who are his party members going to be? So let's start with who his party could be. If he has a party, he could have people like Biggs. We see him talk to Biggs in the trailer. Barrett, Tifa, Red, Aerith, and maybe Cissnei could show up at some point. I would be very surprised if we don't get Cissnei during Zack's chapter, or see Cissnei at some point during one of the next trailers or anything, because she was a pretty big role in his story in Crisis Core. So if he ends up getting a party, we can assume that at some point he'll have met up with Barrett and Tifa, because one of the trailers shows the regular party minus Cloud allegedly dead. We see him speaking to Biggs, and Biggs thinks his Avalanche team is dead. But again, this can't be, because we see Tifa and Barrett being loaded into the Shinra chopper in one of the trailers. Barrett and Tifa probably resurface and meet up with Biggs at Elmira's, where she's already watching Marlene for Barrett. They speak about how Shinra has kidnapped Aerith. Zack hears this and wants to go after her. The four of them head to Shinra HQ, where they meet up with Cissnei, and then she will lead them secretly to Aerith and Red. Then they can go through all the same stuff as in Remake. Everything will still play out the same. Minus obviously Cloud won't be there. He'll be in a coma at Elmira's place. But then at some point during the whole Shinra escape, or on their way to leave, or on their way through the building, at some point I think Zack will get separated and go do his own thing to maybe try to distract Shinra. That way Barrett and Tifa and everybody can escape, and they do the highway chase, and they bolt out of there, and that whole thing still plays out. And then Zack will make his way back down to Elmira's place, where he'll discover Cloud is gone with all the other cloaked figures in Midgar making their way to the Northern Crater. The only thing I can't seem to place with all this is how Aerith ends up at Elmira's unconscious. I can't really, nothing I can think of makes sense on why she's there and how she gets there. So when did this happen, and who brought her back to Elmira's place unconscious? Then the other option is that Zack stays as a solo character. I personally think this makes the most sense, because I feel like if we were to have a party in Rebirth with Zack, it'll be pretty much the same party, if not close to the same party as in Remake and Cloud's party in Rebirth. So I feel like that would just be too similar, and it would make more sense to keep things separate. Keep Zack's party, or Zack just by himself, just as he was in Crisis Core, and then keep Cloud as a group effort to give you those two different, different styles of playthrough. And then as far as the story goes, maybe when we meet up with Barrett and Tifa, instead of going up to the Shinra Tower with them, we go separate. Like maybe they go the stairs and we take the elevator, or vice versa. Or maybe Zack knows some other way inside the building that Barrett and Tifa don't even know about, that we didn't take in Remake. And then we get caught up with Cissnei, and she takes us through something, explains something to us. Cissnei has to play a role. At some point, Cissnei has to play a role in Zack's story. Has to. It would be weird for her not to show up. By the time we make it to where Barrett and Tifa are with Red and Aerith, it's like they will have already started making their escape, and then later we see them dead and or caught by Shinra. I've seen people say that this could just be Shinra propaganda, and that these are like clones or this isn't real. That doesn't make any sense to me, because in both timelines we see posters of them wanted, and I feel like that if they were to fake their death, if Shinra was to fake their death, why would they do that? Because Shinra obviously still wants to capture them, so why would they fake their death and then make everybody think they're dead and then not turn them in? You know, does it make sense? Like, Shinra would want them to be turned in. Shinra like would want the Avalanche crew and Aerith. So why fake their death if they actually do want them? That doesn't make any sense to me personally, but I don't know. But then, like before, Zack makes his way back to Elmira's, where Cloud is gone, with all the other cloaked figures, making his way to Calm, making his way to the Northern Crater. It was that thing with Cloud and his robe saying, you know, reunion. I really feel like that is in Zack's timeline with the Mako poisoned, broken down, beat up Cloud. At some point, as mentioned in my world merging theory video posted a few days ago, I'll post a link to that up above and in the comments, the timelines are going to intersect at some point. But with both these options, there's still just that one little piece that I cannot figure out, and it's the unconscious Aerith in Zack's timeline. I've seen theories that people think that whenever Remake's Aerith dies at the Temple of the Ancients or Forgotten Capital, I forget which one it is, that she's going to wake up in Zack's timeline, because you can't have two conscious bodies of the same person alive at the same time. But I don't know how I feel about that, because Clouds are obviously alive, both Kyries are alive, both Elmira's are alive, both Marlene's are alive. So and I've seen also theories that Zack's world is like the live stream where all the dead bodies are waiting to get, you know, transcended or whatever to the next plane of existence or whatever. That also doesn't make sense because of Marlene and Elmira and all them who are currently still alive in both timelines as far as we know. So the only thing that I just cannot understand is the unconscious Aerith. So I'll be thinking on that very hard on what the heck that could mean, because I have no idea. But anyway, thanks for listening to me ramble about who I think Zack's party could be, and why I think he won't have a party. I think Zack will be a solo player, but I think Biggs is going to play a large role. Cisne at some point is going to play a large role. Obviously, Marlene and Elmira, like, we're going to have that different dynamic. We're going to get more on these characters, whereas in in Cloud's timeline, we get more on the other characters. So being in Zack's timeline will give us an opportunity to, I guess, get to learn more about all these other characters we just kind of briefly understand in Remake and Cloud's timeline. But anyway, for more Rebirth content, be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next video. Thanks for watching. Peace.